It is 2.13, I believe. Yes, I think it's 213. And I love the number 312. So I think that it's fun to look at it reversed. It's one of my favorite numbers that kind of spoke to me early on my journey. I'm like, 312, I see that everywhere I go. So I always add up my sings and see where they get me to, because it's usually a fun rollout to how we're rolling these days. So good to see you all. Thank you for being here this very activated time. We got Mercury and Venus in retrograde together. Both, I can't remember the signs, but they're both watery. So a lot of emotion, a lot of things from the past is coming up to be seen, as I think James was alluding to in his episode. And in regards to friends, that's very interesting as well. Um, I roam about and I meet people all day, every day. There was a lady walking across the street with an ice cream cone, and my window was open. I'm like, "Hey, where'd you get that ice cream cone?" And she was, I think, collecting cans and was doing her collecting. But she looked like she kind of gave me a high sign, and she told me things that I couldn't decipher because of her English was broken for me up, and I was in a car, but I still connected with her, and it was super fun. And so, yeah, I think the opportunity to go out and just really kind of be more of a presence in the field of your bubble is really activated right now. You guys might be experiencing that with your interactions. But I also believe that it is a time to rest as much as you can in the betweens, because there's a lot of current going through our systems right now, up our spines. We're doing a lot of current right now. So welcome. If you are new, there is a reaction thing. There's a little heart there, and it's kind of on its side. And if you hit that, you raise hand, and your hand, I will call on you. Yes. Okay. So true. You hear that, true? And we got Mark and Jenna. So we got some new people. This is great. I see James's hand is up. Hi, James. Hello, hon. How you doing?
Hey Renee, good, good. Thanks for hosting. Great opening. Yeah, on um there's a lot of psychic uh energy that I personally going through. I don't know if anyone else going through it, and I don't want to put that on anyone. But this someone said in the comments the other day, James, you're a liberal. And at first I was kind of annoyed, I'm not gonna lie. But then I was kind of thinking it was funny because I was annoyed. And then I was like, fuck you. Like I just compassionated this, and I was kind of talking about this in the stream, but I expect you to listen to the stream before Dojo. I feel a lot of psychic penalties over the overlaps that I'm having right now about the Jews, about transgenderism, about whether or not the country's open. These I really believe that the country is closed in the sense of what we think. I feel I have evidence to back that up. I realize that I've also said that I don't think it's something that you're ever going to be able to get a nice, clean, printed uh, receipt that that tells you this. I don't think this is how any country change has ever gone down this way, that no one drops flyers and makes you sign off on that. It's you find out 50 years later in history that, oh, this is what happened, and it's just a story. It's a commission that we tell ourselves. And so I just I try and apply these things I've learned, and I come up empty because these things really aren't popular to talk about, at least from where I'm swinging. It's tricky. It's been my path the whole time, but I feel that all I'm becoming is sharper, which is alienating me even further. And I can't help but think that there's no way I'm the only person that feels this way. That the more that you maybe research or look into something, the more uh, subtleties you may notice, the more latent space you see for multiple people to have multiple ideas about a certain thing, and that ultimately what disgusts me right now, I'm using that word disgust, is the fascism that's in between, that I just don't think anyone. I think it's really rare for people to see that fascism is the only thing that's separating us. That's really the only thing. if I'm talking about on one side, so the transgenderism on one side, the only way you can describe the different classifications of transgenderism throughout history is if you say the Jews did it. If I have a meme that says the Jews installed 8 forms of transgenderism in history in order to destroy us all, and then they outline a really well thought out like lexical scope of what gender would be depending on how you associate with something. And as you go through that, if you've read your history, if you know who Hermaphroditus is in Rome, if you know that on every street corner, literally when you walk out of the house for luck, you would tickle the balls of this he she creature on the I'm not making this up. I'm not. You would walk out the threshold and tickle the balls and maybe kiss it or something. And it was the Herm. It was it was the sacred Hermes. And these fetishes, they're not new, but the fascism insists that they have to be. The fascism insists that there's an earthquake, the sky's falling, everything's on fire, and it's all someone's fault, and who we're going to blame. And then we end up with the vortex that we have now. And the vortex is so this is what got me depressed the other week because I'm coming out on the playground and I'm like, fuck, I don't have enough imagination for this anymore. I just see a bunch of retards just smearing their nose peelings on the slide, just trying to make it grosser to where no one wants to go down the slide because look at what you did. Like, and you're right, you win. They win. They won that slide fair and square. I'm not getting on that thing. And I want to have fun out here. And it's that part's depressing me. It's not like a real depression, but it definitely it makes me want to go silent because I'm just like I really can't say a lot. There's not a lot of things that I can say right now. I unless I can if I could have an alter personality like a liberal purple hair dude, I could like maybe choose like which side I want to throw cool things at, you know? It's like I could throw this cool idea if I was in this Heyoka costume dressed over here. And that idea might even have more stretch to it. But because of check it out. You ready for this? Think I'm crazy? Watch this. Because of my political gender, I can't fucking do that. Do you see what I mean? I am expected to behave in a certain political gender, which means that this is, you know what I mean. It means you can't. What are you doing saying that the Iroquois had transgender people? Why are you doing that? And the whole time I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I saying this is interesting? And I'm doing that because I can't help it. I read shit. I read shit. I can't help it. I read things. And I'm like, guys, the Yellow Dynasty, these guys kept their junk in a pouch around their neck. They walked up to each other. Hey, I got my balls. Can I go in? Yes, of course you can. You've cut off your penis and put it in a jar. Your pickled penis, you get to rule China. That's like for 900 centuries. That's how China was ruled. All of the eunuchs that were running the show. That's not just a fetish on HBO. Like they were den mothers, tribal mothers. The mothers picked the chief. I want to pick a red chief now. Why? Because he's violent and fuck. He's violent as fuck. We need him right now. And now I'm going to pick a white chief. But then when you go on Instagram, it's all about, oh, women are running. They're fucking being forced by the patriarchy to run the show. And it's just like, it's been doing that since before patriarchy was even here. Before patriarchy was even here, you were like asking the tribal mother for permission to like, hey, can I bang your daughter? Like you had to ask her for that. But we can't think about these things because no, look, we're making a scarecrow. We need that. We need that hat. So we take that hat from history. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm preaching. I just wish I could have more fun with this because I'm not doing a good job. I'm out on the playground and I'm like that meme guy that's just staring over, just like, it doesn't work. No one wants to play this game. You guys are only going to watch me for so long. Then you'll be like, James, can we just like throw balls at you? And I'm like, yeah, you can do that. This nothing else I could play. Just stand here and just be the person that's just disappointed in everyone. Ugh, I don't like that. I don't want to be that, you know. So honestly, if I go underground, I would. And just go underground and like cut videos and do stuff like that. It's a tricky place to be. Anybody got anything on this?
Well, it is a tricky place to be. And I like that you think about a turtle. I've been imagining turtles a lot because I'm a turtle islander. And if you're on North America, so are you, if you want to be. But how they can pull in their limbs and their heads into the shell and how they can be in the water and above the water. So you understand how the turtle is working. And then, you see Greenland, which apparently is connected by a tectonic plate to North America. So I understand why the turtle is claiming back its full shell through government, through the governing of how this goes. Like James has mentioned that government's more like just getting you used to what's going to happen anyway. So I think that's a really true statement, and that really rings true. They're doing a great job, and they're going hard. I noticed that
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders, who I gave a couple grand, over some time, talk about a liberal, and he posted some numbers about how many people have died and how much life has been lost and this and that. And then one of the numbers was 322.
Hmm.
And I thought that was fascinating. So you see how this, they're even involved in that spin. So you see that Bernie Sanders even playing the game that's going on right now. So I have to see these little moves. And, I don't watch the news, but I do have a Facebook now that I go and check out. So I kind of see what's going on. And I was actually totally, what do you call him, James? Like sex spotted. I was sex spotted by a general. I'm like, oh my gosh, this general reacted to one of my comments. And oh my gosh, is this really happening? Of course, it was like a sex general. I'm like, oh my gosh, Renee,
Yeah.
you fell for. I was like, oh my God, this is happening. So when
Those are
you
the
go
best
on
kind.
right, and you trickster, you're going to kind of pull up some of these rocks. And
Mhm.
I like to go out and do some tricking out there. Although I'm definitely naughty. I have a naughtiness to me, because I'm kind of like, hey guys, see behind the veil. But it was a really potent day. I talked to my father today, and we went to some places that he didn't think he would go, and I didn't think I'd take him. In regards to just some stuff in regards to the religion I was raised in, Mormonism, and what he thought was going to happen. What is
Mhm.
his second coming? What are you guys talking about in the priesthood? Tell me, what is it? Can you tell me what you talk about? And I was like, talking about my journey, and I even broke down. I kind of lost my breath. It was a very powerful conversation that I took on today. I didn't know I was going to do this, guys. I was like, what am I doing? And he's 85, but he's got calories. He can listen. um, there's a lot of stuff buried. There's a lot of stuff buried in the priesthood. I believe in my ancestral church, and the things that had to be done, to raise those spires on the back of the turtle where they put them on the Salt Lake. So I see the benefit of their addition to the story of the legions that we are, um, and how we religion on different lands. I'm a daughter of Zion, in the Mormon mind. And I didn't know that I was considered a daughter of Zion, but we're considered daughters of Zion. I'm like, what the heck? Um, so I did get here my mom's patriarchal blessing, which is what you get in the church. I didn't get when I left before. That was I just, no, I'm not going to play this. I'm not going to get a blessing. But as I was talking to my dad, we went through some pretty big doors together, and then he asked what he could do for me. And I know that they do blessings with oil, but I go, I just need your blessing to continue on my path. I don't know what's coming, but it's kind of a big deal, Dad. And and he was like, I didn't know this place was called Turtle Island. So there was just, we were doing a lot of sharing, and he was confused, of course. And I'm like, Dad, I'm just kind of pouring my heart out right now. And I'm not sure. I knew, I know that people are seeing my work that are in my church, that are from my childhood. And I know that my work has really shaken just some of my perceptions of what's going on within the church is personal to me. And I kind of see this happening. And I love the fact that you're bringing in the Quakers with that leader who had a near NDE and came out kind of reborn. And let me tell you what he thinks the second coming is. So apparently, what it is that Jesus is coming back, right? So you just have to wait for Jesus to come back, and then you just get to sit back and see how it all unfolds. I'm assuming they're the ones that will be saved. Everyone else will not. So I'm like, basically, you're telling me that you just sit on your butt. Well, Jesus has to come back for you and do all of this, and you're going to do nothing. You're not going to. So I was all over. You can see it was an intense conversation, but he held it really well. He listened, and I appreciate that. I know a lot of parents wouldn't have that stamina, but he was married to my mother. So that is how the apple does not far fall from the tree. And I thank you for listening, guys. I will hi, Deb. Good to see you. Go right ahead.
Hi, you guys. I actually have the exact opposite political uh, happening to James, because I've always been really progressive, and they're all idiots. They're all idiots. I can't even. I understand why we don't look at something that works, like in Scandinavian countries. There's a couple that I think actually work. Not sure which ones for sure, so I don't want to say it, but Sweden or Denmark or Norway, or everybody is gets an allowance for a child, no matter what money they make. Everybody has enough money to live on. They don't have homeless people. It's really ridiculous that this country, I won't get on a soapbox, but anyways, I'm not anything anymore. Like I said, I think they're all morons, and I think we're in trouble. And it's going to be a revolution, baby. Just keep thinking of the song. No, because that's where the planets are. The last time, do you know this about the last time that the planets were in this alignment was the Civil War. Another time was the French Revolution. It's a particular pattern that I'm not an astrologer. I can't tell you, but it's neat. So, anyways, thank you. You're helping me so much figure out what's going on with my really malfunctioning body by talking about electricity, and it's big. So thank you. It's huge. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Deb. Thank you for chiming in. Yeah, I also related as a liberal progressive, and but I always I see the heart in everybody. I see where their heart's coming from too at the same time. So it's hard to really throw anybody completely under the bus, because we put them in a camp then too, but they're individuals. And that's why the individuation process is something you actually do have to stand up being counted, so you can just stand out. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, go ahead. I think we had True
They're
next.
all individual retards. I just wanted to add that.
There you go. Individual retarded we stand. Okay, let me see who is next. I know Mark.
I think Mark was next.
Okay, no, his hand went up and down a bit, but go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
Hi, James. Hi, everyone. My name is Mark. I'm from Minnesota. Can everyone hear me? All right. Well, I wrote down a few things to say. I started watching your show when you were first interviewed by Owen, and so I found you from the right wing, but my first vote ever went to Ralph Nader, and then I voted for Obama twice, and I even sent Bernie $5 before I voted for Trump in 2016. So I climbed all around the bird before myself. And so, and I wanted to say thanks for the guidance during COVID. In one email, I told my boss that they should watch your episode 239 called The Scarlet Letters. And then in one subject line, I said, I believe in myself. I kind of just wrote my emails from my heart, discussing many thoughts and concerns, and tried to show compassion for the leadership team making difficult decisions. So I did all that, and kind of really inspired by James with your content to show more compassion when I was doing those emails and everything. In one message that I wrote, I said, I love my creator. I wish I had a better understanding and could write a proper religious exemption request, but I don't want to just copy paste something. I feel I have faith in my heart, mind, and soul through my searching, listening, and thinking process. My journey has found me listening to the most amazing people. They have helped me see the beauty in our realm outside the terrible psychological abuse that's put in our face. And one second. Yeah, I told them that I couldn't find the information that I needed to make an informed decision. I wrote a lot of words before I said that I would finally submit to their testing, yet I was not able to find a testing location, and I asked them to tell me where to go to get the testing done, and a lot of things that I think were suggested by James, but I'm not sure exactly where I thought of all or came up with all of these ideas. But there were a lot of emails that I sent, and then eventually they began providing me home testing kits. My mom was more worried about those things, so she helped me do those every once a week. We got those done. I thank the leadership for their providing vitriol during that time. And now I'm happy to continue working from home, but I have grown pretty secluded in my life here, and I might like to change that. I kind of don't really know where to turn. I have reactivated my Facebook, and there's lots of wonderful friends and family there, but it kind of feels scary to reach out. And that's what I wanted to say. Thanks.
Oh my gosh, Mark, thank you so much for introducing yourself. I see that James is unmuted, so he probably wants to respond.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's great to meet you. I've definitely seen your name around. It's great to hear your thoughts and to know you've been around a while. That's really great. You know, I hope that my episode today about do we need friends isn't like really cutting in the face of that. Maybe you didn't even catch that, but I just posed the idea of, is Aquarius even an age where friends or is a mode that's needed? Is that even necessary? I certainly don't want to ruin any kind of social camaraderie. Quite the opposite of that. I more want it maybe to be more natural, almost suggesting maybe it would be more like birds that just find that they're on the same feeder and have enough in common to form an alliance in that mode. Kind of like if you were on tour or at a concert or a show or something. It just there's enough that we have in common where we could find things like that. As far as connecting though, I think it's a vital, important life requirement that that you're gonna definitely need. And I appreciate that you're looking for it because I think it's absolutely crucial. I also like to think that I can help facilitate that in any way just by having these groups, doing meetups whenever we can, stuff like that, and just trying to facilitate that. So I'm not a very good social like manager, but I do believe in providing a tent that where people can meet. So I take that seriously, and I hope that I can nurture that in any way. I guess I'll just say. So thank you.
Yeah, I love that, James. And I think I go out and play with myself a lot. I think we should take back the word play, whether you're a player, that is the negative connotation. You play with yourself, negative connotation. I don't like that. To go play with yourself is really just to enjoy your own time with yourself. So, Mark, going to a park is really fun to do. You can just go by yourself. I always was always so intrigued by people sitting at parks by themselves. Like, what are they doing? What are they thinking? And then I became that person. And I
Mm.
met friends at the park that I still have in my 50s. So I started playing, and that's where I met my friends. So that's a great collection to gather people who are, they might have dogs. I initially went with dogs. Now I go without a dog. I just go to go play and take a ball or a hoop. And, you can bring in people that way. And you're just so peculiar at the same time. So you kind of start getting your scent in a place, and then that place draws things to you. So I like to find a place that has a great sunrise and go catch it. And not every day. I mean, I have things going on, and sometimes it's just not the right time. But I feel inspired. I do that, and usually I'll meet somebody.
Yeah,
It's just right there for me to meet. It's pretty fun.
I want to throw out too that I was having an issue with that starting out, and so I would host fires. You probably are aware of this, Mark, but I think the hosting of fires is it's actually an important ritual for you yourself because it's kind of important that nobody shows up the first time. Like you don't it doesn't have to be that way, but if it does happen that way, it kind of it's kind of kick ass if you can pull it off right. If you can, it does require that you pull it off right. But if you do that, it changes your entire being, and you sort of step into the role of chief. And instead of you looking for others, you really become a beacon for others to find you. And I think really this is what gives you your roots in this place. You become a psychic node, a base station, a land, whatever you want to call it. You become that point. And really, that's what people need. They really just need that. The fire gives a really nice excuse because a lot of people, they don't want to come unless there's a task because they don't have enough confidence. So it's like, well, we need a task to accomplish. And so you could just say the task is to build a fire and to build it on the new moon. And for me to build that. And if you want something really simple, you could stomp 19 times. Like I picked that because that was simple. It touched on COVID-19. So it was taking the magic of 19 and use it in a positive way. And I wasn't trying to inoculate it. I wasn't trying to make it all, then you're going to face this direction. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, it just wasn't my style. It was more about, no, you don't understand how simple this is. Seriously, you pull up, you give me a sheet of paper, I write on it X and I give it back and ritual done. We are good to go. This is good. I like things like this. I think the more you try and give it pomp and circumstance, the harder it is for people to come and participate. You kind of want it to be easy. You want it to almost be unconscious for some. Was just talking about this today, but there's the archetypes that surround culture are really just costumes that people can bring on the stage. So if you think about like chess pieces, you're going to have some people that just want to be a pawn in the culture. They don't want too much responsibility. They can come and go. They're really just there for the camaraderie. That's great. This is the outer tent of any religion. And then you have your bishops. They get a lot more worth by having a defining role in this place. So they are in charge of ritual, or they say what is taboo. And they're just building the reverence tent. They're building that outer tent. Then you have your knights. They can be sneaky or good guys or bad guys. You don't really know. You have all these roles. You have the charlatan queen. Understand that if you love people, you're gonna love these appetites. So hosting a fire means you're looking for all of these things. So you're not even really looking for cohesion. You're more just looking to see if you can put witness into the same place. And if you can truly invite people over to witness something as simple as a fire, you really are a magician. You've created a conscious union and you've mounted it with the land. If it helps any, the reason why I picked the new moon is because if everyone knows that this isn't just a fire, it's a new moon fire, it becomes a lot easier for them to place their belief into it because they honestly know, oh yeah, this is the only new moon over the spring equinox in 2025. That's a big deal. Why is it not? This is really the only time you'll ever be able to do this. So if you're going to assemble on the new moon at this spot and consecrate a fire, and the fire is specifically for this one purpose, now you have something tangible that can hold what just happened, which is the ashes. So you collect the ashes after the fire's nice and hot, and you use those ashes. The salt in those ashes remembers what happened. You've only done this once, though. What if you did it twice? What if you did it on the next new moon? Now you're cooking with salt because now you brought the memory of the first fire into the second fire, and you've placed it, you poured that into the second fire as it's burning, and maybe no one's there, but you know what is there? The salt is there. So you're already not alone. You've already brought something. You've already brought one more person, which is the memory from the last fire, and you were there. So that's you. You've brought your own ancestor to the fire. You just consecrated it. Man, you were cooking with gas. You haven't spent a dime. No one's even had to come yet. No one's even had to come. And now you've created this sacred thing. You've created this sacred thing because no one else was at the first fire. So now what you first thought was like, oh, I failed, is now this sacred thing. You're like, dude, I was the only one fucking there. I was the only one there. I cared about this so much. I was the only one there. And I did it 3 times. I did it 3 times. And now you're triple threatening it. You've got all the torque of 3 times in a row. And someone's going to show up. At that point, someone's going to show up. And you know what? they're probably going to be like a fucking psychopath maniac. You're probably not even going to like them. That's not the point. Is that's fine. It doesn't matter how weird they are. It doesn't matter how off they are. It doesn't matter how uncouth they are. It worked. It worked. And now you're a wizard. Now you're casting it. And you know the only reason why you did this is because you were lonely. It's the only reason why any of this happened. There's no fucking way you would have done all this. There's no way. This is way too sticking your neck out there. Like, oh God, who's going to show up? Oh God, is anyone going to? It's like first you're like, you think your fear is, you thought your fear was that no one would show up. And then that first person shows up, but you don't know who they are. And you're like, oh my God, no, it's actually my fear is someone's going to show up. And then you're really having fun because you're laughing at how afraid you are. And the only reason why you were able to do this is because this pheasant of being lonely was there, you know? So I think this is the most powerful ritual you could do. And it starts because you found enough calories to say, hey, I'm not connecting enough. I need to connect. And you can call them friends. I hope that my question about do we need friends is not a declaration that we don't need friends. I'm just literally thinking out loud about our roles and about what it means to have loyalty versus just having a vibe, you know. Camaraderie is different. Anyway, that's a lot, but I'm really glad you brought it up because I do take this seriously. In fact, I want us to have more gatherings. I want us to have more opportunities for those things. And those things are, you know, we're always talking about those things under the sheets. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Mark. And James, I think the fire is something that we've kind of backed up from, but I think getting back into building fires. And, you know, when you're with the fire, you're not alone because you're with the fire. And the fire dances for you. So I can just get so immersed in a fire by myself. I actually love being by a fire by myself. So it's kind of, you know, like, do I want to share this? You know, but it's great to really kind of fall in love with fire in that way. Especially outside with the natural wood. I have a gas fireplace and that works for me, but I just like to be in front of an open flame. I learn things in a different way there. Okay, we have True's hand up. Hello, go ahead, True Knowles.
Hi, everybody. The name is True Knowles. And yeah, it's a family name. I think I mentioned this online. It was my dad's name, my great-grandfather's name, and I have a 25-year-old niece that goes by that name. Yeah, my brother kiked that. He said his ex-wife came up to me when they first got married and said, I'm going to name my firstborn True, so you can't have it. I said, I know, right? I said, that's why they're not together anymore. It's a long story, but anyway, I digress. I couldn't resist. I'm just really grateful to be here. Really grateful to be here. I've been kind of hanging back because what I'm feeling right now is right here in the diaphragm and my heart's starting to beat a little bit. I'm feeling a little bit of anxiety because I went to 8 schools in 12 years. I was always the new kid. And I had to explain myself in this name thing every freaking school. So, and I know for me, the impulse to explain here in my introduction is a marker for shame. So I'm going to keep the introduction short. What I did want to say was I was very mindful about coming to Dojo because of the group work that I've done before. So I upgraded my membership. I started watching the Principles of Dojo. I'm halfway through the 3rd one right now. I'm glad I did. And then I worked with James one-on-one on Monday. And if you guys had never worked with James one-on-one, I would do it. I'm so glad I did because I really felt heard and seen. And yeah. So I just wanted to say that. Friendship, wow. I think when I scheduled my one-on-one with James, I said the day of the lone wolf is over. I'm that guy. Yeah. And, you know, it's never really, I've always been the outsider. And it's like, at this point in it always bothered me at a certain point, but also I've been in 3 long-term relationships. I was married, the first time I was married 12 years, second time I was married 17 years. Third time, we're still in relationship, but and someday I will get more into that because it has to do with gender and there's a story there, but I have to separate out because I've always used my intimate relationship as a way to validate myself, and I'm not ready. I don't want to do that with this one, but there is a huge lesson just in my own personal growth that I think I could share with everybody when that happens, when the time is right. So gender, yeah. James, you really helped me understand that when you gave that example of, and I don't remember which talk or which one it was, about the kid in the 60s who was having a conscientious objector, and you know what his family might say, well, you're not a real man, you know, and that really hit home because I just missed the draft by that much. I'm 65, and they just ended the draft as I was turning 17 or something, you know, 16, 17. Again, because I had no desire to go into the military. My dad tried to send me to military school, and I said, I'm running away from home. No. Anyway, I know we were talking about friendship. So yeah, my point was I cleaved to my wife, and it was an excuse for me not to develop intimate relationships with others outside that relationship, especially with men. I have my own gender experience around being a man, and buying into all that bullshit, macho bullshit. I cried a lot. I was a very emotional young boy, and I caught a lot of shit for it. I caught a lot of shit from my dad for crying. I did not have physical abuse. Let me qualify this. Very physical body abuse from my father. No, emotional abuse all the fucking time. So I was always kind of hesitant, even though I was a jock all the way. I played rugby until I was 35. So I put on a good act. You know, I could play that game, but it was like, I got to go home and take a shower now. You know, it didn't feel right, but I just did it to fit in. You know, so I got a gender, but okay, I'm going to make this real short. Okay, because I got a piece of work here. I got a huge piece of work this morning. I do rideshare, and I've done it for about 4 years, going on 4 years. And I take a lot of people to hospitals, back and forth to hospital, doctor's appointments, so forth. And in Cincinnati, where I live, all the hospitals are clustered together. And maybe at some point in time, because one of the things that you're talking about is that you struggle with to talk to people about and engage them is virus, no virus, right? That whole debate. I am so far beyond that. Okay, I don't want to get sidetracked here because I want to get back to the work that I did this morning. Stay focused here. This could go. Okay, so it started out I felt when I started doing this 4 years ago, because of my attitudes about the medical profession and the sickness care industry, and that's what I call it, I had a lot of contempt. Every time I pull up to one, and it wasn't the people in the back seat, you're a sheep. No, it was just what this building represented. I had a lot of contempt because I knew the scam. I've been researching this stuff for years, and I just felt like it was a big scam. Okay, that was 4 years ago. I've come a long way. Then I got to the point where, when I would get into a flow state, this started about 6 to 8 months ago. When I get into a flow state, it was like, my God, look at that building. That's like a temple of death. Holy shit. I'm Chiron the ferryman. I'm taking these people into their underworld, and then I'm going to pick them up. It's like they're dying. And it was just like really, really cool. I mean, yeah, I mean, really, it was like I get into a flow state when I'm driving, and I'm doing like breath work all day. Nobody knows it. So I really get into a flow. I can be in present time and driving, and I am like, my field is like a mile wide. But this morning, what happened was I got really, really, really fucking angry because there's all these people, employees, filing into the building, and the traffic is bad. I mean, there's just traffic lined up for 2-3 blocks getting into these places. And all I want to do is just get away from there. So finally, I dropped the person off. The thing is, I had to like go offline and drive across the river into Kentucky to get away from it. That's how strong it was. This just like okay. And thank God I can control my own schedule. And when it's time to go offline, I go offline. And I was really proud of myself because I caught myself instead of trying to push forward. Yeah, I stepped away from it and regrouped. So that's pretty much my share. James, if you've got any insights on that.
Well, I appreciate you sharing for sure, True.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different stuff there. I do want to offer a tip though that I think if you overcompensate, if you undercompensate on what you expect from a hospital, it can be a lot easier to show up there. And I think you're already doing that. I think that you could take your posture even further by considering what a macrophage does. This it's a shark. I've described it as a shark or reef shark, but it listens for a signal from cells that need help being torn apart. It's one of the base functions of how our body works, that your cells release a chemical. They call an Uber and they say, can you please take me to the macrophage? This literally happens. And the cell secretes this smell that says, can you find value in me by tearing me apart? And that's what happens. The macrophage wraps itself around the organism and it removes its outer clothing. It puts it into a paper skirt that's just tied up the back where you can still access the body, the nude body completely. This is a hospital gown. And it starts to look at your organs and it starts to figure out how much money it could make by x-raying something and saying it's to save your life. And this is what a macrophage does. It's just looking for profit in what is dying. And it sounds evil. And I don't want to stop anyone from going there, but this is a thing that's inside your body. And I think the only reason why it's evil is because we lack orca consciousness about this one particular thing. Because really what's happening is that somebody who finds your carcass to have more value than everyone else in the world is called a hospital, the medical industry. Their symbol is the cross. They are here they want to be the first seagull at the crossing. When you become a hot dog, they want to be the first seagull that grabs that meat. They want it more than anyone else. They want it so bad they've created a monopoly in the body. They develop laws. Zeus himself declares that no one else is allowed to grab the hot dog except for this one seagull. And so the paramedics, the metallic panther comes and it listens for the weakest among you, and it follows you down to the stream, and it takes you, but it doesn't just kill and walk away. It takes all of your pieces. It says, I have value. I see value in you, and that this is why I'm here. It's a phasing. Death is a phasing from 116-degree consciousness to 94-degree consciousness. So now you've got a kidney that's flying to some black market fucked up shit that you don't know about. That's a very valuable piece of meat. It's a valuable piece of meat that this organization, this macrophage, believes is potent and important. It wants it bad. It wants all the juice that it can pull out of you. It wants even the currency of what it can sell is just simply the only way that you could holographically hallucinate what it means to phase into these different things, what it means to have that shift. If you look at a hospital as always this and nothing more, and you understand that the macrophage actually doesn't pick a cell that's healthy, it doesn't happen. It waits for a signal from a cell that can't do it himself. The cell doesn't have the ability to obliterate itself. It's built up too much self-worth, hasn't it? It's got so much self-worth that it can't tear itself apart. It needs someone else to. But we don't live in a world where we can see that truth. So we have to hide it behind a facade of insurance, paramedics, emergency rooms. Death is not an emergency. Death is the most ubiquitous thing that's ever there. Yeah. Even the fact that we're calling it an emergency just shows you this hallucination. So there's probably an even higher posture when you pull into that parking lot as Chiron. The fact that you call yourself Chiron, I think is brilliant. I never would have thought of it. This is gorgeous to me, seriously, because you're compassionating Chiron itself, and that's some stunning work. So
I got to tell you, I don't mean to interrupt, but just to respond to that, I don't have any problem compassionate. I've been blessed with really, really good health. I can remember, and see, I really identify with Chiron. I really do, like mythologically, archetypally. I'm a wounded healer. I really am. One of the things I'm excited about being here is I think I can begin to step into that more fully and become that. So I'm just really excited about being here. Yeah. So I think I'm good.
Oh gosh, really appreciate that, True. I love to call. I call James True sometimes. So it's like, oh, True. This is great. I love the True. Okay, Alex, you are up. Hi, Alex. Good to see you. Go right ahead.
Hi guys. Thank you, True. That was awesome, man. Your story is a lot like mine with the abuse, and I think that's what we're going through right now is the awakening. People forget that everybody thinks that it's a pitcher of water that Aquarius is dumping on their world, but it's actually knowledge. It's plasma. And back in the day, before there was television and before there was all this stuff to grab your attention, we used to bring our children, and 2 and 3 years old, out in the yards, and we used to stare at the skies. And we knew as these energies would come around, these planets or whatever you want to call them, these constellations and these signs would come. We knew how to cope with. We teach our children how to cope with these energies, and we teach them like, this is how you live, and these are the ways of Gaia, and these are the ways of Mother, and if you live this way, this will happen. But if you treat people this way and you live this way, this will happen to you. And we threw all that away and traded it all for religion and something to blame it on and point a finger at it and something to call, And now I think with the age of Aquarius, I'm Aquarius, and I think this is what's happening right now is people are going to be forced to face their ignorance. They're going to be forced to face the truth. They're going to be forced to deal with everything that they've done in the name of their God, and there's nobody to point at it anymore. There's nobody to blame it on anymore, and you're going to have to go inward and look at yourself. And I think that this is one of the best things that James this little group does. What James does, man. James, thank you so much, dude. To hold accountable. I mean, that's awesome, dude. Because this is going on right now. We need to be held accountable. You need to be, what you said, what you did, how you made that person feel. It's time to bring it to the mat, and be held accountable. And this is the perfect place to do it, dude. I mean, thank you, James. Thank you, True. All y'all moderators and everything y'all doing, man. I love being here. Thank y'all.
Oh, Alex, great to hear from you. It's a beautiful share, and I know that it's hard to understand if you've just chosen one legion to believe in. It's hard to understand that they're all connected in a much higher scope, and we just haven't gotten up high enough to see it. But we're the eagles in the sky, really kind of looking around and trying to do it delicately. Trying to do it delicately. And today was a hard day for me to pull back, but a lot of energy today. So I can relate to a lot of this. Okay. Hi, Sarah. It's so good to see you. Hello.
Hi, that was a lot of good stuff. I don't know if I can beat it. I'm still back on I'm still back on, oh yes, the political gender. I've also went through all of the various spectrum of that, from the liberal who used to post like I made stickers when I lived on Orcas Island to put on SUVs that was like a flattened earth that said, "What was that bump?" So I've always been like a kind of a private activist of sorts too. Um, and then from Orcas, I moved to Seattle and I got back into the Orthodox Jewish stuff, and that took me into conservative ideologies. And then I left all of that. And then I started to learn more of what we're all learning, the politics and the fakeness of it. Um, and I stopped voting for anybody locally. I used to vote for just the usually no on all of the initiatives. And then there was an initiative to return the registration fee to $30 like it used to be. And it was voted on and it passed, but the courts overturned it. And that was it. It's like, I'm not voting anymore. And then I heard this great line in a TV show where the character worked for promoting a candidate. And somebody asked her, "Do you vote?" And her response was, "No, that only encourages them." So then I learned more and more, and then I finally unregistered. So yeah, I didn't vote for Obama. I think I voted, unfortunately, also for what was the Utah guy.
Romney?
Yeah, Romney at that point. And then I had like a date once with this guy from, I don't know, some online site. And it got to like, who did I vote for? When he found out who I voted for, he started like railing and he left. He just got up and left the date because I voted wrong. And Romney tortured his dog and all of that stuff. And then the last, what I'll call selection now, it's like, I'm just not participating at all. I refer to myself now as a neitherer. Um, yes, I need another badge that says neither. And then about like friends, like I pretty much don't feel like I don't have any close friends. I have some acquaintances. In 2020, I don't even know how I met them. Oh, I met them because there are a few of us that were not like the woke, and it was early on in the woke Seattle stuff that weren't going along with that. And then a larger group formed that we used to meet every Friday night. It was all of like the people that wanted like health freedom, and we're not gonna like muzzle up, we're not gonna like get jabbed, the whole thing. So, and we had a fire. There was somebody that was like the fire maker. So there was like a group outside and inside, and we sometimes had presentations on like natural law or like health substances to try out, and people from homesteads, and it was great. And then that kind of petered out. The person got kind of tired of having his house open every Friday night till late. So I've gone through, I have pretty much no social life. 369 is probably more social activity than I have. sometimes in a year. And it's okay. I'm good solo. Almost prefer hiking solo. I go on road trips solo. I go camping solo, and I'm good. I make fires when I'm camping solo. I'm good at it even now. So I like that. When it gets hard when I'm having a few days this week again of that intensity, like I'm just insane and everything sucks and my life sucks and I have no money and I'm going in circles and I've been wanting to move and then I don't have somebody to like call. It's like what's that song? I used to have a friend and I felt like this about him. It's like I think it's Duran Duran. Who do you call? Who do you love when you're coming undone? So that when I feel like that, it's like there's nobody to call. But yeah, otherwise I had a great time in the forest for a little while today. I was almost going to try like staying there for airship to see if the service would be better. I'm on my phone to test that out. But sometimes it's just in my apartment, it just isn't so great and the Wi-Fi is not great. So
Your connection's been really clean so far, by the way, just to let
so
you know.
that's it. I'm on my cellular on my phone instead of the Wi-Fi isn't so good here. But yeah, okay. I think that's it. If you have
Thanks a
more
lot.
meetups, I would love it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sarah. 369 was super fun.
Sure.
And it's really fun to plan for an event too. And James, I heard you drop Nashville, go hang out with Athena. So I think, if we did want to, start planning something to come up this year, we can definitely start working in that way. I'm all about getting together and gathering. And yeah, I think we've learned a couple of things. I think we know a lot more than from James's first fire to me attending 5-5 and meeting Cameron and Lori and some of you people that attended and Lauren when I was in Chicago. So it is really nice to connect with people and to get, it's just so fun because you just feel you're kind of likened to them, like I am likened like you are likened, and we are neither and neither.
Okay.
So it's fun to play around like that. And, Sarah and I went shopping. It was great. We got to go through some thrift stores and eat some good food and climb Mount Tabor. So I think
Yeah.
we got a lot of good turtle.
Skating.
A lot of skate. Oh my gosh. The skate, how do I forget this game? We got a lot of turtle and this we got to cover. So I know we live all in different parts of the turtle. And, so it's kind of fun to raise a flag and just have a party. Okay. Thanks a lot, Sarah.
Sure.
You good? Okay. We got Lauren next.
Oh, one more thing. Okay.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Oh, so when James was talking about planning a fire thing and nobody showed up 3 times. So this happened last summer, I guess. I wanted to do a wild plant walk because as you've seen, I've learned a lot and I like to share it. So there was one area, it's like, wow, there's a lot here and I know a lot of what's here. And so I put up flyers, I put it on like a Facebook event and nobody showed up. So I was really discouraged because that happens a lot with things I try to do. So it's more encouraging when I hear James say, okay, it's good. Nobody shows up. It's fine. By the third time, then somebody did. I'm like, okay. So I'll try it again. It's a season.
It's cool. You kind of have to trust the process. It's almost better, I think, to be alone a little bit. I think that's actually
I'm
a nice
alone a lot.
but I mean, but if you have
Mhm.
a fire, and like, no, like you said, you just, I have 2 kids that live with me, so I have people around, but I do like sitting out by a fire by myself and making it myself. I feel very like, look at you
Yeah,
making a
Yes,
fire.
I feel capable.
we
Yeah.
lost someone, Sarah, because originally we were going to go skating on Thursday night. And
Yes.
then one of the people who told me I can't use Patreon, um, and so he didn't know that we moved it to Saturday. Anyway, he showed up to roller skating Thursday and was really mad because he said that we stood him up. And that's a very valid perspective to have. I mean, it really is. I feel bad. I wish that we could have prevented that. Um, his expectations really just destroyed him. It really did. It was his expectations because as I'm listening to him complain, and I mean this compassionately, I'm listening to him rightfully complain about something. I'm also noticing that he's really just, it was all about how he was victimized by this. It was, and as I'm doing the math, I'm like, he went to a roller skating rink. He lives 3 miles away because he said that. He went for the first time.
That's it.
For the first time since living in Portland, he actually went down to the roller skating rink. But this was a fail. This was a disaster. Now when he drives by that place, he has the memories of I was stood up there, I was let down there. All of the horror and trauma is now in that place. And I feel responsible for that, but also I feel there's no way that you could have pushed this much trauma into roller skating rink. Like you really seriously, you got to be looking for a place to put that thing. And one of the reasons why I don't do more gatherings is precisely because of how weird some people just have to make it. They have to make it super weird. I try and shield you guys from a lot of this, but seriously, it's just like there's a lot of weird with it. And it makes it harder to have to want to stick your neck out and do something like that because you don't know what's happening. But this is intrinsically part of the magic. This is part of it all too. So it forces you to find a boundary. It forces you to create just the right shell. And honestly, I think you really know you're doing well when you start to apply secrecy. So I don't think that we were hiding this from this person, but when there's a coveted thing that's happening and you're no longer trying to make sure that the general public, that anyone out there would possibly be able to find you too, because it's not that important to you anymore. It's because you're no longer looking or seeking for anything. You have what you need just to have fun. You have what you need to go roller skating. In my mind, that would have been, I went fucking roller skating alone, James, because I've listened to
Right.
how many
Yeah.
times you've said how important this would be. And I showed up and I had the wrong night, even though I'm the one that said I can't use Patreon. And I said, oh, I'm worried about that because we might lose you, that all this stuff is still all it did is bring you to a roller skating rink. And you can smell the energy there. I was there. We didn't know those other people. I was giving high fives to 15-year-olds. We were giving advice to one kid about how to make it look like he's of age, like he's legally of age, because he was like, they won't let me go out because they think I'm not 18. And I think Renee goes, well, how old are you? And he goes, and I was like, no, you got to say it right away. You got to say it right away. And this is what waits you because you don't know anybody. This is what waits you when you're there and you're the only one that doesn't know what's going on. This is vulnerability. This is a great opportunity for vulnerability. So all of this nervousness is exactly what it takes. It's exactly part of the formula, I think, to build up enough potential and then see who comes to drink, you know. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, James. I'm not sure. I think Lauren was next. I could be wrong. Is it Marie? Lauren, go right ahead.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to share, I had run across a definition of loneliness and lonesomeness and some esoteric material. Just thought it applied with us talking about friends. So it says loneliness is the state of something lacking within the spiritual self. And along with that comes a debasing sense of self, and it often degrades into pity. And lonesomeness, this is what surprised me. It's the need or the desirability to have a confidant, and not a mere friend, but someone possessed of a heart and someone that's free of guile. And so what I got out of this, and I thought this was beautiful, you can be without loneliness while being alone. I was like, wow, I mean, that's just beautiful. I thought that was pretty sublime. So to me, it becomes more of like, do I want friends or do I want confidants? And so it becomes more of you really just having to pick and choose whom you have around you, but also try to help those who, you look at them and you're like, boy, where do I start? I really want to help you, but geez, there's a lot of that going on. So it's a delicate balance that we're playing here. We just got to be careful with our hearts. And, you know, maybe you're questioning it, James, because you're going up the ladder. you're working your way up, and that's what happened. So that's all I wanted to say, guys.
Oh, thanks a lot, Lauren. That's a nice subtle difference to that. I think I want to hear that again and kind of chew on that. Yeah, it's like delicate sewing. It's like making lace, you know. It's such a beautiful way to look at things in that detail. And then go out to the micro, the macro, and you kind of go in and out. Marie, go ahead. Good to see you.
Hi, good to see you. Good to see everybody. Hi, James. Marie from Brooklyn and Arizona at the same time. I'm happy to be here. Oh God, what does that say, Marie? Oh, good to see everybody. Wow, James. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for continually inviting me. I related to what was said about hanging back. I've been hanging back, listening to videos, hanging with you, not leaving, not leaving the area, but yet I felt like I was creating my own hole a little bit by not including myself. And I'm so grateful for your emails to invite me. And and I remember one of your videos you talked about, one of your first videos during COVID. You had talked about, I don't know if it was a dojo or whatever, a one-sided relationship where by listening to your voice, you can have this relationship with someone, a friendship, so to speak. And I didn't listen to the video today, but yesterday's really impacted me. I believe it was yesterday when it was Lori that said something like, they set me free, speaking about a family member. I felt that to the core of my being. They set me free. I'm going through a lot of estrangement with my family. So at that point, I thought, in Dojo, I felt heard, and I didn't feel alone, and I felt heard, especially during COVID. Um, I didn't participate on any COVID train that pulled up to my door. None of it, none of it, none of it. Um, and then I got really busy because I figured because I'm a recovered alcoholic, child of an alcoholic, blah, blah, blah. I started facilitating these workshops, and I was doing these workshops. See if I can get this camera on. My camera's not working. And I was doing it started 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week, every night, 2.5 hours, ACA workshop. And I have one on Wednesday. And it got to a point where total burnout. And I felt like I still wasn't being heard. And I was like the moderator, and I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, there's got to be something else, for me. And then I started listening to the airships, and I'm so glad I'm back. I landed. I could see if I could try again and get the camera on. Is it? It's black. Oh, there we are. I'm so glad to be back, James. And thank you. And thank you, Lori. Thank you. You're as pretty as your voice. Thanks. And thanks, Renee. Thanks. Nice meeting you, Renee.
Oh, nice to meet you too, Mary. Yeah, welcome back. The booze is a cruise, and it can really sink you. I was also on that boat for many years, but I decided that hey, I deserve to be stood up on this turtle and walk around rather than like drinking with the other guys. Like, this place sucks. And I just think this place is so beautiful, and there's so much creation mode when you have your liver working with you every night, and it's just rebuilding up that energy. And every night you get a little bit more alive, a little more liver. So I'm 5 years in, and going strong. I just don't like the taste. I can taste it and be like, oh wow, whoa, that is nuts. What I used to drink. It's like what I used to enjoy, and I wanted it harder, So I get that dip into that type of medicine, but it's what made me who I am too. So I appreciate Marcus for that. Okay, Lori, go right ahead.
Sorry, I'm late coming in. I really wanted to watch Renee moderate because I'm terrified. Terrified. All right, it's good to be terrified. So, yeah, that was a great share, Marie. I'm like, I understand that level of witness. I've done a lot of ACOA, Al-Anon, codependence of sex addiction. I mean, on and on and on. It's like the level of what you can have is like you gain friends, and then you get into this program, and then the program keeps you in the program. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And then I was like really getting that level of what James was talking. It was a belly punch when he said about friends today. I was on, and then I had a thing I had to do, so I was off. So I'm going to go back to listen to it, because the value of the physical experience of when you open up your aperture. I say it's in the body. It's all in the body. What you do to your body when you're not conscious of your body, and then what happens when you get an awakening, which happened. And somebody on the chat said, well, maybe it was fellowship. And then I was like, that's what a witness feels like, fellowship. So a true friend hones in on fellowship. So they hold your highest potential. And I remember when I met James at 5'5", and I was having this group that was coming, and a person was having a real issue with me. And he said, don't worry. You just hold her power until she's ready to take it back. And I thought, oh, that's what you can do for the victim. When someone makes you the persecutor, you just hold their energy, and guess what? That's fellowship. And now this person took her power back, and she's also grown as, I don't know, like Aquarian, So I'm looking at the level of like that oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to, the loneliness and aloneness, that was beautiful. And I'm glad that somebody asked for you to put that in Patreon, because I had been fighting with loneliness, and it was James that I had a one-on-one with him, and I highly recommend it. And he said, it's a growth when you're having that. It's like, so then I had been witnessing Renee going out on these play dates with herself. And I thought, the vulnerability of going on a play date with yourself and not caring what anyone else thinks about you, it is like the level of like freedom that I am like experiencing now, because I had this art show, and I was like so terrified that people weren't going to come, or they're not going to get it, or whatever. And I was like, I'm witnessing myself right here, and I'm having the best time ever. I'm like, so I just wanted to say, like, I'm sorry I'm late, but I'm here, and good to see everybody.
I just want to.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thanks, Renee. Yeah. I hope that this topic comes up more, because as Lori alluded, I think that when you feel loneliness, this is what it feels like to grow. You're growing a larger capacity, and the first thing you would feel is your lack of capacitance. You have more receptors now that are open, and you're willing to feed those now. If you want to experiment with what I mean about maybe you don't need friends, I want you to at least see it in the proper light. When I was driving back from my dad's, I just came back from Portland. I was driving back from my dad's, and I stopped in a gas station that I never stop at. I had to pee, and I don't know, I like to pee outside. It's just what I do. And so I found a really off the shelf gas station that I would never go to, that frankly no one would ever go to. And I walked inside, and it was definitely had that vibe of I don't know why this business is still open, like that kind of vibe. You've been there. And I walked up to the lady behind the counter, and I just met her completely. I I I beheld her, asked her how she was doing. She just dumped on me. Just dumped on me. Just told, I don't mean this dumping, about just unloaded everything. And because I didn't need to be friends, I think I was there. I didn't have a preset, look, someone's probably going to be needing me to hear them later today. I have to save you see, I look at the capacity that I have when I'm with someone who is expressing their problems, and I look at it as a flaw in my posture. If I feel drained, they're not draining me. My posture is draining me. And when I have that, I don't think friends become necessary. Do you see what I mean? Because friends would be, look, I only need you to drain me. This is what I think friends really could be. Look, I get to drain you Monday through Thursday from 9 until 4, but then you get to drain me on weekends. Whereas if we were just open with everybody and we had no preconceived, look, I'm going to build up a few credits with you, you're going to dump it back on me later. If instead we just met everybody with our own posture, then you get to connect with people that you've never seen or met. And here's where this is what I mean. Here's the power up. This lady didn't know me, which means I could have been anything to her. My medicine to her could have been 20 times more powerful because she did not know me. I have more latent space in her constellation. I can blow her fucking mind. I can unleash every chain. And I can only do that because I have no reputation to build. I have no prana economy that's going to leave this place. There's no social credit. She's not giving me a fucking Yelp review. None of that is happening. None of that is happening. I simply have an opportunity because this is the new moon fire, because it's the only time I'm going to see this lady. It's the only time. The only one. She was inflamed. An immune response to people that don't have witness is they get inflamed. We call this being fat. She was inflamed. She was inflamed because she'd never been seen. She'd never been seen, so she ends up inflaming because she thinks she must not be worthy of being seen. And I can see that. I could just see her. I could see her completely. And she sensed it. And I think because she didn't know me, because she knew I'd be gone in 60 seconds, she can exhale all of that inflammation. And all the flies are pouring out of her mouth. And it only happened because I'm not her friend. You can't pull that on friends. She would have to convince me that she was worth it if I was her friend. She would have to convince me that I feel that she deserves to power up like this. But if I'm some random stranger, howdy, miss, and I'm just passing on through, I can develop a much thicker kind of pharmacopoeia. This pharmacose is not a bad thing. Let's use this. Let's use this power. So is Aquarian more that way? I kind of think so. Because the festival atmosphere is the idea that, hey, where'd you get those sunglasses? A butterfly named Frank gave it to me. And that's all it takes. You don't have to explain. People can figure that out. Okay, clearly there's a butterfly named Frank around here who's giving away sunglasses, and I'm okay with that. And you might later on see a butterfly, and you might go up to him and say, is your name Frank? And he's like, yes, it is. And then now this is just as real as, hey, I heard you sell insurance. Oh my God, you are. You sold my neighbor the insurance policy. We are clearly connected on a deeper spiritual level, my friends. And that's just what friendship do before we're able to connect fully. Before we're able to just, no one has to build up any kind of leeway or say so or credit or anything else. We can just connect because everyone just deserves it. This is really what a festival is. There's a mindset. If you don't know this, I truly believe that the festival atmosphere allows you to enter into a different fantasy mindset, and a lot of good magic is there. It's unfortunate there's so many drugs, but it's okay. But I'm saying if you could do this sober, I think you're talking about Lemuria. Like, that's what Lemuria is. It's that free state of play where Frank is dressed like a butterfly, giving away sunglasses, because why the fuck would he not? Like, why would he not do that? This is the perfect thing for Frank to do. Everything makes sense because we don't have to have one Jesus. And everyone doesn't have to agree. Well, sorry, it's Tim's turn to be fucking Jesus now, so everyone else has to burn in hell. We don't have that anymore. The festival life kind of frees that. So it kind of changed. Anyway, way off topic, but this is how I see it. It's beautiful. It's not scary. And I think the loneliness that you guys feel, I hope that you bring it to the mat. I hope that you don't feel that it's should just be solved. I want to watch you crawl in this because seriously, this is where it's all happening. Thank you.
Thanks, James. Yeah. I feel with the smaller of a friend group I have, the more I can emit my frequency in the world because I'm not so hog. Oh, I gotta call this. There's a dinner party. I'm like, oh, I'm very centered as I walk, and I have a big energy, you know. So if you're in my field, I actually was getting a phone with my daughter today at the Verizon store and ended up having this great conversation with this guy Kevin. I go, you must be an earth sign. And he's like, I'm a Capricorn. I'm like, hell to the yeah, because I am as well. But we just connected on so many levels. James, I actually gave him a pin. I gave him an Olmec pin. We had, I go, you know what? He was noticing. I go, here you go. And, it was just such a cool, I had that on me that I like taking things in my pockets too and giving things to people, just little specials I'll pick up as I go out the door, maybe creations I've made. Sarah gave us a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful case. There's so many creations you can like take out and leave at the park or some type of art that just spurs something. And it's Aquarius is a beautiful place, but I think the field of friendship as it was presented in the Piscean age and as we've aged, I'm a Gen Xer. So there was a lot of drinking and partying. You know what I mean? And that meant you were cool, right? And I couldn't handle that vibration after I woke up to myself. All right, True, go right ahead.
Okay, James, thank you so much. You reminded me of part of our conversation on Monday. And I just want to follow this up with a very short comment insight. So I pick up a lot of people up take them to senior centers, like older folks, like I'm talking 70s and 80s, and they're not in really good shape. And I picked this one lady up, and she was cranky. She was really, and I could tell she was in pain. I could really, yeah. So she gets in the car and said something kind of, and I went, yes, ma'am, I understand. And then I started sending her heart energy. And this is a very short ride. This is less than 5 minutes. I swear to God. I did about 3 breaths. And all of a sudden, she starts talking about the Holy Spirit and speaking in tongues. Honestly. Yeah, seriously. I mean, it blew me away. Now, I never had that happen. I can make people, when I send them the right energy, they stop coughing. They're on a ventilator and they're going, like Darth Vader. And after about 3 or 4 minutes, they'll take it down and just kind of, I can create that kind of feel. But here's the thing. I never had anything like that happen before. And what I believe is happening is for the last 6 months, my partner and I've always been fused with somebody like this. Okay. My energy field is wrapped up in some kind of control drama that I'm trying to relive from my childhood. And I won't get into that. But the point is, for the last 6 months, we have been going, instead of a we are becoming 2 I's. And what I'm finding happening for me is, holy shit, all that energy I had wrapped up in that relationship, I now have, I can give to myself and share with other people. I never experienced that before. And this was just a demonstration of that. So that's all I had.
Oh, True. Thank you. I think a lot of people can relate to that. It's the power that we're holding within us is so generative. I mean, we want to use it. Like, we want to aim it somewhere or just enrobe the whole place. I mean, it depends on what's going on in your body and your field, as True. Like your body dictates a lot. There are so many hands up. I love seeing this, but I think Deb was next. I don't have a lineup for some reason, James.
So it's Amel's next, and
Okay.
yeah, let's definitely figure out why you can't see
Usually
that.
it shows me whose hand is up, but I'm not seeing it on my screen. But we'll go with Mel. Thanks a lot.
If you click on participants, maybe it'll open that up again.
It used to show, and now it's not. Like I could tell me whose hand was up when. It's weird. I'm working on it. I'll figure it out. Okay, go ahead, Mel.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I don't have anything really constructive to say, but I wanted to say that I really love the topic of loneliness, and I call it solitude. I've always been a loner when I choose to be, because okay, I lived in Germany for 24 years, and now I live in France since August. when I was in Germany, I had many friends and I had like a social life. And I loved I love, still now it's my character, being with people in small dosage. Um, I love going back to my inner house. I mean, and I appreciate my own company. I really love my own company, but I miss the people. But now that I moved to France, this solitude, it's becoming loneliness sometimes. It has a bitter taste because in France, I have to construct everything. And it's not easy at my age. It's like, it's something that just, I chose to go, but it's just something that imposing this loneliness is imposing itself on me. So it has a little bitter taste to it now, and I'm fighting it. I'm not really fighting it. I'm not doing anything actually to go out and meet people. I have a little dog, so I go in my neighborhood. I walk around, but in my neighborhood, it's a lot of elderly people, much, much older than me. But I love their company, but there's not a real exchange with these people. Yeah, I wanted to say that I love being a loner, and I think this is what led me to many other things led me to my divorce, but uh, loving being with me, I know there is something to do with my divorce because when I used to be with my husband, it was a struggle all the time. My ideal partner would be someone like me that loves to be with himself also. And this is hard to find, so hard people don't understand that. They would eat you. Um, and then you feel completely, um, how do you say in English? You can't breathe anymore. I can't do that. I just can't. And I am done. Making so much effort to be in a company of people. The only company I have is you guys, and I love those meetings. I just love those meetings because I feel like everybody is a loner like me. It's like everybody, all of you guys love your own company. I mean, you enjoy being with yourselves, and you're not bored when you're alone. I'm never bored. I don't know what being bored is. I really never know. I don't know this feeling. I cannot. When my children were young, if one of them would say, "Oh, mom, I'm bored," I say, "If you have a brain, you can't be bored. I mean, you just let your brain take you places. How can you be bored when you have a brain?" And this helped them, I think, somehow. Um, yeah, I love this topic. Right now, it's kind of bittersweet for me because it's kind of imposing itself on me. I need to find a new way to enjoy being alone in friends. It's kind of hard right now. Right now, at this moment, I'm in Africa. Um, um, and the energy is wonderful. Um, so I'm sending you all love from Africa. Thank you.
Oh, I love getting a hello from African soil. I love it. Stomp around on that for me a little bit. Tell her Renee says hi. James, I can't find who is up next. For some, we'll have to talk about this.
Sarah?
I think it's Lori. I can't tell. I don't
It's
have
Sarah.
Sarah. Go right ahead, Sarah.
Okay, there we go. Just a couple of things. There's a favorite quote, I think, by a Plotinus. It goes something like, the life of the mystic is a journey from alone to alone. So yeah, when I think about it, I've gone back to my childhood when the place that I would find refuge would be, I would just go off by myself, ride my bike to a nearby wooded area in suburban Cherry Hill. and sit in the woods by a creek, would write and draw and like hang out with the tadpoles. And so that's a long history. There have been times when I would, the most how did I say, exaggerated time was, I remember I was with my family in rural Pennsylvania, where my brother was living and the other brother was visiting, I guess, and they're into like these country buffets, and I don't eat that stuff, and the whole atmosphere is just antithesis of me. And I went and I needed to like stand on ground, and there was just parking lots, and you know how in some parking lots there are like squares with a tree. So I went and stood in one of those squares to be on the ground by the tree. And then back to when you were talking about like handing out little gifts. So on this trail that I go on, I was there today. It's not part of the main trail. And last week I was there 2 times, and somebody put roses in random places, like leaning up against a tree. There was one, and there's one across a rock, and then there were some like little red ones on a decomposed log. Those I had to take because I really needed them that day in my life. And then today I was there and they were still there. And then there was another little group of roses that I missed that was on the ground by a log. I just love things like that. So I think that's it.
Oh, and I just, I think about children going on a hunt and a treasure hunt and how we can leave little treasures of just our own little making. Well, I don't know. It's just so fun. And I know
Yeah,
it's
there
Yeah.
are little alcoves in trees and people like put things in it.
Mhm.
They're little like altars in
Yeah,
tree houses.
we got a
So
gnome
cool.
forest here on the trail that little kids come and set up. But I did want to throw this out to the loneliness topic, because I I really do think that feeling loneliness is a very, very positive sign of growth. I know I've said that before, but I also don't want you to hear me saying it as if it's supposed to feel bad. I really think that if you do breath work while you're feeling lonely, all you really have to do is increase the resolution between each breath. I swear it's really all it comes down to is loneliness is a vacuous feeling that you feel because you have more room. You have more there's more plasma that you can spread out from yourself, but it's staying contained in your former size, your former self. This is what it feels like to be lonely. It feels lonely because you're cramped up here, but you could be further out. Meanwhile, the rest of the world's giving you room because they're like, wait a minute, don't you need more room? You look at your train. It's at least 20 feet long. And you're more like, no, my train is 3 feet. And so you don't stay there. So in the moment when you're feeling lonely, this really is the gag reflex. It's the body's reflex is giving you the opportunity to unfurl, and that's what the loneliness feels like. So you can honestly sit with that, lay on your bed on your back, and find the ecstasy of your breath. And you start to realize you could only do this when you're alone. Someone else is gonna, it's gonna be distracting. Your wisdom's gonna be on them, and you want to make sure that you're in a good mood because everyone needs you in a good mood. All this shit's happening, and instead you're just waiting to dilate yourself. There's at least 20 more frames of consciousness between each breath, at least 20 more opportunities to have a completely unique thought that you've never had before between every breath, between every one. It is a weird, I think this is actually part of why I've been talking so much lately about transgenderism. It's related to this. There is a energy up here on your brooch of your chest that women have more presence in, and there's an area down here right above where your sac starts, where men have a more presence of consciousness in. I swear to fuck, this sounds insane, but when I get in touch with how genderized I am, I feel loneliness in other parts of my body, and it's because I'm just trying to be a man. I'm just trying to be a man. When I find my Baphomet, this sounds so creepy as fuck, but when I find my Baphomet, I'm looking for the shadow twins inside of me. I can find my testicles easy, but my ovaries are also there. There's a space in my body that are meant for ovaries, and it's just right there. And I'm just ignoring that. I all my cleft is there. I have a whole lot. I have all this room of psychic emptiness that's right there. And when I tap into that, I cease to become a man. I become just a consciousness. You could it doesn't at all feel like a goat man. I'm not. But if you call it the Baphomet, it's just calling it the one before you were cleaved. Your Adam Kadmon, the one before you were separated. This is your Horus and your placenta and you. You can find this presence, and you've got rooms in your house that you didn't know were there, Amel. There's if you go upstairs and you go to the left, what there's a fucking door right there. There's a door right there. And you open the door and the loneliness just pours in. It pours in. And what we find in the couple, what we find in our sacred couple is right there. It's right there. And this even challenges our definition of friendship, because a lot of relationships, I swear, are just simply built over the hostage negotiation of, can I get my twins back? My testes belong to me, but my ovaries are held hostage by God. And I've found this partner that's willing to work with me because both of us have a trauma bond. We're both missing our twins, and we're gonna create these stepchildren where your ovaries are mine now, and you're gonna feel the chains of me enslaving you. Is look, I need your fucking ovaries, and you're gonna enslave me, and this is just what gender is. That's what these roles are. It's an opportunity to feel complete before we've learned subtle energy, before we've learned that you can take all of your pretend and place it into your ovaries or your testes to place it there. And you find this eighth gland, and you're on a whole other level now. Everything becomes attractive. You're attracted to everything. Everything. Every person you see, you're like, oh my God, look at how beautiful this person is. It turns into that. Doesn't matter how old they are, how young they are. It's just you're naturally, this is the end of boredom, because you found the new gear. You found that new level where you can exist. And all the flavors are there. And most of us think the way to solve loneliness is to learn to have without, to learn to cut off or burn out those parts of our tongue that have that flavor memory there. And it's the opposite. You got to find that missing room and just pour all your plasma in there. Pour it all in there. And you're only going to be able to do this when you're alone. You can't have a fucking conversation about, I'm finding my hidden ovaries, to your wife if she's like giving you shit all the time. You're not going to be able to pull that off. It's not going to fucking happen, man. Give it up. It's not going to fucking happen. Right? You're going to have to find some weird internet dude that you can say this to in a Zoom room, because it's the only chance you got, man. This is how we get Aquarian. I know I ran long. I'm so sorry. Lori, I really want to hear what you have to say. Or Renee, go ahead. Please mod.
Or you are up next. We're not, no, end up with True, and then we will close out. Thanks, everybody. This has been great. Go ahead, Lori.
Oh my God, I have to digest that. I'm so grateful that just came in. And Amel, I was just like resonating, and then James just delivered, and I was like, holy moly. And everyone talking about this mystic or this place that you know that you need to be. And I don't feel hungry like I was hungry in the loneliness. Because, this memory of having, I was married for 20 years and I'm not now. And I don't want to go back to what I was, because I love what Amel said. It was like I was smothered. And there was nothing wrong with the person I was with. He's a wonderful human. But it was the we that was killing me. And I didn't understand what an I and an I is. What is that I and the I? How are you with somebody that is so comfortable being by themselves? And I lived in a marriage where I lived in a van in the summer and I took off to wherever I wanted to go. And sometimes I would say, I don't know if I'm coming back. And that person would be there. And then all of a sudden, I knew that that wasn't enough. I was hungry for more. And so I'm going to bring it into friendship. I'm hungry for more in that too. So I'm willing to take the risk and hold myself accountable if I see something, because a real friend does not go, doesn't make a mastermind with the friend and just keeps them where they are. So I just had a friend today have a pretty hard situation with a landlord. And I said, well, do you want to know what I see? And she said, yeah. So be careful if you say yeah, because I'll say it. I said, well, I think that you were using your femme fatale or prostitute with that landlord, and then you got what you got, because now, you know, he's selling the building or whatever. But she was trying to use that woman of that manipulation of holding the testes hostage. And it's like this dark feminine energy that's not really autonomous in an I. And it's like, I don't even think that people are conscious that they're doing that with each other. So I'm willing to do that for friends. And then I'm like, well, take it or leave it. I'm not going to not love a person. And she's like, well, all women are like that. Well, maybe they are. Maybe all men are doing something else. But just because you do it doesn't make it right. So I don't know. I think we're in exciting times, and I'm going to go out and fill a room up after this dojo's over. I'm just filling it up, because I tell you what, that was a wonderful, everyone's shares tonight. And I'm going to go back and listen, because I'm sure the earlier ones were really good. So awesome.
So, you know, such a potent day, and like how all our days started and our weeks and our years and our lives, and just to be here where we can really, like, you know, just be in a room and just kind of like share like this. It's just so beautiful. Thanks, James, for holding on, and thanks everybody for being here. All right, Drew, we're going to end with you. Go ahead.
Okay. Lori, I just wanted to say I hear you, because like I said, my second marriage, I was with this woman for 17 years. We were in counseling for 4 years, and it was an exercise in futility, because what I realized, this was like a system of quid pro quo. You buy my bullshit, I'll buy yours. And that's where I was. And I knew I stayed way too long. That's all I can say. But James, I wanted to respond to your thing about the breath. I've learned to do certain techniques where you do reverse breathing. You know, you suck in the dantian, the gut, and you bring the energy up here, and then expand the dantian on the exhale. It's reverse breathing, and I have that exact experience. I can feel the divine feminine come through me up here, and then the divine masculine come back down that way. So I know exactly I just wanted to give you props on that. Thank you. That's all. I'm done.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I love playing with breath in my body in so many ways. It's just like you just uncover so many things about yourself. Hey guys, this has been great. Thanks for being here at 2.13, my favorite number in reverse. And you can unmute and say goodbye. Really great to be here, guys. And Lori, Friday. I'm so just excited.
Monday.
Oh, Monday. Oh, Cameron's Friday. Oh gosh.
Cameron.
Yeah.
Cameron.
Oh, how fun is this, guys? Okay.
Cameron is a rock star. I'm like, really? He did such a good job. I watched it. Such a good job, Cameron. All right.
Oh,
Good night, you
missing
guys.
Mondays.
Woo!
Bye.
All right, bye, guys.
Everybody say goodbye.
Thank you.
I guess.
Thumbnail. 3, 2, 1.
Au revoir.
Take care. Great job, Renee.
Thank
Good
you.
shit. Bye.